everybody? Welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the show where we take 64 teams and put them head-to-head and see who's the ultimate champion. I'm the Commissioner, Cory, putting the show together. Got an awesome interview for you today. Today we have Matthew Ahne from Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Matthew is a really awesome guy. It was great to talk to him. You can see we kind of hit it off for a while and talked so many different topics from accents to football, of course, Taylor Swift, just all kinds of things. And really great guy. I think you guys will enjoy it. Before we get started, though, wanted to hit on a couple things. We've now hit July. We are still locking in the last few teams. We are open to anyone who is just watching at home and wants to play. Doesn't have to have a business affiliate kind of thing. If you're still interested in playing, hit us up at fantasyturfwar@gmail.com and let us know that you're interested and why you want to play. And we'll get you taken care of if there's still room. And we also have a ton of things coming out, more interviews, of course. As we lock in the teams, there'll be tons of fantasy football content. And then we're also starting to do contests and giveaways. But if you want to be involved in any of those, to stay up to date, you need to be signed up for our email newsletter. The way to do that is to go to fantasyturfwar.com. And right on the homepage there, you scroll down, type in your email, get a little check mark when it's done, and that's the way to find out about our contest. You can also follow us on all the socials and all that stuff. We're at Fantasy Turf War pretty much everywhere, so easy to find. And we have exciting stuff. We do our show on Tuesdays. We have a new host coming on board. Anyways, so here we go with Matthew Ahne, a Locked On podcast and Locked On Fantasy Baseball. All right, good morning, Matt. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great. How about you, Cory?
I'm good. It looks like we both got our coffee bright and early on a Saturday morning. So off to a good start, I see. So it's good. Although I prefer the ice, and from our conversations, you got the hot coffee. So
yes.
Best of luck to you. But so is life when you have little ones in the house, and coffee helps the day get going. So all good. But I wanted to take the time today to welcome you to Fantasy Turf War. Welcome to the league, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And wanted to get to know you a little bit and about your podcast and kind of what you guys are doing over at Locked On. And really curious about how you guys got your start and what kind of pushed you guys to go that route. And if you can give us a little bit about your backstory and kind of where that all picked up.
Yeah. So like for starters, Dom and I have been friends, I think, since 9 years old. And we lived across the street from each other. I met him the day I moved in my house across the street. He was playing outside. Boom, we've been best friends ever since. And, he got me into fantasy football and then said, yo, there's this thing called fantasy baseball. Why don't we try it out? And I'm like, bro, I don't know. He goes, do you know who Mike Trout is? And this is no joke. And I'm like, no. I was lucky. I knew like 5 Yankee players. And then, you knew the standards, right? You knew A-Rod and you knew Jeter and then whoever else was just floating about at the time. But I was like, sure. And then played. After that, I don't like being bad at things. So then I'm like, all right, I'm going to get good at this. And I did. And from there, Dom and I always just on my ride home from work or just anytime we had a free moment, even before I was married, we'd always talk about baseball leading up to it, things like this. And we've been saying for at least a decade, we're like, bro, we should just record this. And it kind of just like happened. And we did it at the worst time too. I was having my first kid. My wife was still pregnant. And I'm like, let's do this. Right. And then
perfect timing.
Right. And then my kid's born in September. We're planning all this. I'm doing all this prep. And then boom, my kid is 4 months old. We're also planning to move and buy a new house. We do everything at once. And then, hey, we're just going to go and do this. We started recording with half my house packed behind me. We started the fantasy MDs, and it was just us doing it on Zoom, having to cut off 15 minutes because Zoom only gives you free for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to video edit real quick. It was crazy. And then we're going into year 2 after probably with a whole bunch of like a lot of learning curves and not understanding that if you put it's okay for kids on YouTube, that it just goes to kids YouTube. So that helped for, half the season. And then figured that out. We're going into year two. We were picking up some traction, and I created a website. I'm getting ready. Like we're okay. I'm taking this season seriously, and we get reached out from Locked On. If anybody doesn't know who Locked On is a podcasting network. So like if you have a team that you enjoy, Locked On's got a team for it, got a podcast for it. So you should check them out. But I had no idea who they were. Dom kind of quasi knew who they were because he listens to Josh Lloyd over at Locked On Fantasy Basketball,
Okay.
who is one of the coolest dudes. And he's like, "Is it them?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So he reached out, and we went on a meeting, and we're like, "Okay, maybe they want us to like do an ad for them or whatever because we're looking for ad sponsors and things like that." Like, no, hey, like so we haven't had a host on our fantasy baseball channel in forever. So like, hey, would you guys like to take over that channel? We see you guys are serious about it, and this would be great for the two of us. And
Wow.
I was like, sure. Um, so I was kind of like on the fence, and then they're like, all right, well, how about this? We'll bring in Josh Lloyd, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I did my homework on Josh Lloyd, and I'm like, oh, so he's only got like 60,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's like the biggest fantasy basketball podcaster. Cool. So he comes on from Australia and is like this coolest dude, kind of talks us through, and like, okay, we signed right there, and then it was done.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah. So Locked On does this like 30 minutes and done kind of podcast. So like you get your information out, you get in, you get out. We're not, gonna filter it up to talk for an hour. And it was hard for us to adjust. But now after a year, and this is year two with them, it's just been awesome. Like we kind of got to like build our own community. We went from literally right when we signed 132 subscribers to nearly we're almost there at 3,100 in a little over a year,
Wow.
and it's just been yeah, it's been an experience and a lot of learning. I've from you go back and watch a video from last year of how I used to talk on the podcast. You had to like clean me up because now we had to be professional with all my dirty mouth, and on top of that, just like how I spoke, how quick I have to speak, and it was a real cool experience to kind of grow. I feel like a little boy growing up over this last year and a half, and it's been an experience.
That's very cool. It's an awesome story, and I laugh when you talk about all the stuff going down at the same time because it seems that my life tends to go the same way. It's just absolutely nothing, and then chaos. And I'm sure your wife was thrilled when she said when you said, "Hey, we're going to do this thing. I know we got a baby on the way, but no, I'm sure she appreciates it now that you guys are down that road. But just
Yeah,
remember, she should be canonized later on. After the all this is over. But yeah.
yeah. She should just get a pay of it, like a little
Yeah.
slot of her own on the payroll, just for having to deal with the kids, the newborn, especially at the time when I wasn't even getting paid.
Yeah. I get that because my wife does the same thing. So we're in the same boat, my friend. And it's interesting, right? Because they say good things take time, but great things happen all at once. So it does sound like that's kind of what happened for you guys. It's exciting to see that you got picked up by that network, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Hopefully we have similar success stories on our end as well as we start down this path. But never know what the future holds. But it's been fun, nonetheless. Okay, so we have your Locked On podcast, and you are from the Pennsylvania area. And then you also bring in 19 years of fantasy football experience. So the question there, and I ask how many years, not how many leagues, just to be nice to people, but how many championships have you walked away with in those years?
I would probably say about nine. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, granted, if you span it out of how many leagues I play a year, because I'm an addict, right? So when it comes to fantasy sports in general, right? Like, so I'll play like 7 baseball and 10 football, and yeah, I mean, but I walked away with nine, which is still hard to do in any case.
Yep.
Last
Nine's
year,
big.
yeah, last year I took one home. That was my big pot. Walked away with like good chunk of money, and
Yeah.
it was nice. It's nice when you do win. So yeah, I got a little bit of experience.
That's good. Yeah, and I've learned to ask that question a little bit nicer in the way that how many years and not how many leagues because well, one the flip side of it is you could go play 100 leagues that are all like those fake draft league kind of things, and then oh, I won, I'm a champion. It's like I don't think so. But then
Yeah.
you have your serious competitions, and you walk away with those. But yeah, the averages are not nice to any of us. But walking away with 9, that's the big number to worry about. So you definitely know what it takes to get to the top there. So I think you're in good company with the rest of the league. 19 years puts you on the upper end of the league in terms of experience. I think right now the average is about 12 years. So you're right in the middle, but you're on the upper end of the middle there. So you've probably, fair to say, I'm gonna take a guess here, that you've at least done all of your drafts online.
Uh 50-50. So
Okay.
I'm actually able to wrangle a bunch of people to get together every year, so it's actually really fun.
Okay.
And that's both snake drafts and auction drafts. So, you know,
Whew.
it's
Auction
it's a
drafts.
yeah, they're fun. We get somebody that we usually like, okay, like, yo, we're gonna haggle you the whole time. So like we'll be making fun of you, like, oh, dude, I was getting my bet in, but you know, things like that, and it's a good time. It's a cool league. I've been doing that league for about 6 years now. It's fun.
Very cool. Yeah, and we do have live draft parties in the works for hopefully season 2. Weren't able to pull it together for season 1, but we've got some big plans with what we've got going on in the league. So hopefully this takes off and we can kind of make it happen. So
Cool.
I did want to hit on real quick, for the people at home that might be watching fantasy football content, whether it's us or ESPN or anything like that. What are the big differences between fantasy football and fantasy baseball? Because I tried it once. It was chaos, and I did not play it again.
Uh, so it's kind of like this is why I got so into it in the first place, right? And this is all fantasy football, like players, right? You check your lineup daily, even though you only play on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Like, okay, baseball is literally, if you want it to be every day, you can make a move, you could set a lineup, you can watch stats come across the board, and that's what I like about it so much, right? Like, so there's a daily interaction and there's constant transactions. So that little itch I get that I only get once a week, really, for fantasy football, I get with that. Plus, in my opinion, I feel like there's a little bit more of a strategy depending on the
Hmm.
leagues that you're in with baseball. So, like, because baseball is not just like your typical points leagues, like with football. Baseball is categories. You could break it down to like runs, hits, stolen bases, home runs, all that wonderful stuff.
Huh.
And you can, tailor it and add guys for different reasons and kind of steer your way to a win by kind of, going after a certain category that you're down versus just chasing the points that, football kind of pumps and dumps.
Hmm.
And also, too, being that it's double the season, right? You also have the ability to kind of come back at a later point than you can with football. Whereas, like, your Christian McCaffrey goes down,
Yep.
uh,
That's
you
it.
know, and a couple other guys go down, which has happened to everybody. You've lost like 3 of your key players, your season's over. Baseball, there's a way to recover. So like you're never really out of
Hmm.
it until you're out of it or you walk away from it. So
Okay.
there's a lot more that goes into it, and it's fun and challenging. It's a lot more challenging in my opinion. Whereas football also has their challenges too, right? So you look at football and football, you got to make sure you get the right edge. You got to make sure the start sit decisions are a little bit more crucial, because you're not trying to ride a cold streak on a guy because they hit, I don't know, 26 times in a week,
Yeah.
right? You get one shot, one opportunity, and don't let me sound like Eminem, but you know, it's you got to nail every single thing each and every week. So there's also those obstacles with fantasy football that you don't get with baseball.
Hmm.
So it's it's a good contrast. That's why I play both, and I love football. Like they're pretty much tied neck and neck. I just have so much experience, so much exposure to baseball with doing it literally 365. So
Very cool. Yeah, it was interesting. I went at it knowing nothing, and I was like, oh, it's going to be just like fantasy football, real easy. Once a week, set it, forget it, and then I was losing badly, and I was like, maybe I should have looked this up before I started this. And yeah, so I've dabbled in fantasy baseball, and maybe now I'll do a little bit more research and see if I can at least be competitive. I don't know if I'll ever win, but I want to at least be competitive. I think if I go down that road, like you said, we're kind of like addicts with fantasy football and fantasy sports. So I'm gonna have to keep going until I get decent at it. So I'll just keep going and going and going. But
I mean, I got a podcast you could listen to. They might be able to help you out. I don't know.
If only we knew one. If anybody knew one.
Yeah. Anybody?
So we alluded to it before, but you are from the Philadelphia area. But I noticed on your registration that you might have some explaining to do, and that you're a Giants fan living in Philadelphia. So what's the story there?
So I actually grew up in Staten Island, New York. So this is like my interview voice, right? Like I can bring out the New York accent, and here it is, right? But I'll turn it back off. So that's where I met Dom. Dom and I are from New York. I moved out here to be with my wife. We met online. She was from like the out like Bucks County area, right outside Philly. And you know what? I was like, hey, I see I see a future with her, so I'm gonna come live out here. And quite honestly, too, I would never move back to the city. You couldn't pay me, drag me, anything. I go to see my family, and I'm kicking and screaming the whole way because I don't want to leave. So I just it was just a great move. Now being a Giant fan out here, now that's rough, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm one of the guys that's got the cojones to walk into the bar with the Giants jersey on, and everybody's giving me dirty looks. But hey, I'm a good sport, right? So like if the Giants aren't playing, I'll quasi root for the Eagles, especially with the Giants being so bad. I need
Yeah.
somebody to root for. I don't know what's going over with that organization, but whatever. Um, but when it comes to the Eagles, like it's a good time. They actually are like the most awesome fans I've ever been around. And they love their team. Like they even have a song for a touchdown, like "Fly Eagles Fly," and they start screaming it, even in every bar I've ever watched a game at. It's just a good experience. Philly fans are just legit when they say they're different, right? They're different,
Yeah.
and it's a good experience out here. I still won't root for them over my Giants, but it's a good time hanging out when the Giants aren't playing them.
I hear you. Yeah, I don't know if I've never been up that way, but my experience has been in Philadelphia. Would probably not air out the Giants jersey on or Giants flag in the front yard kind of thing. So yeah, probably a safer route to just keep it inside the man cave kind of thing. But yeah, it's interesting, and it usually goes back to some roots where you grew up that area and you just kind of moved and took the team with you. So totally get it. I also I'm from Chicago, so I have the accent. I buried it a long time ago, and yeah, I have no plans on ever moving back, which is going to like fast forward to 10 years from now, and I'm living back in Chicago for some reason. But yeah, no plans to move back. It's just no thanks. I like where I'm at, so I get it. So you have named your fantasy team the Locked On Podcast. I forget.
Locked on Fantasy Baseball.
There you go.
I figured, hey, if people want to know exactly where to find me, I might as well throw the marketing out there just to make it my team name.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's aptly named. I think a lot of the teams are doing the same thing and naming it something to do with their company. And some people are getting very creative with the Taylor Swift references. So yeah, it seems to be one or the other. It's either Taylor Swift references or your company name. So it is what it is. But at least the company names, I don't have to worry about shaking it off. So we're good there. That's a song, right? That's a
I
Taylor.
believe so. I
Yeah.
have a 2-year-old, but I try to ban Taylor Swift from the house.
So I think she's a Phillies fan, or she's an Eagles fan. So
A Chiefs fan, actually, because she's dating the other Kelsey.
right, but I don't, all right. So I don't want to pretend to know anything about Taylor Swift, but I'm pretty sure she's an Eagles fan, but she's dating the guy from the Chiefs or whatever. But she's like a diehard Eagles fan. I don't know. Either way, she's not a Raiders fan, and I don't have to worry about it. So they did rearrange a schedule for her though, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it
must
must
be
be nice to be her.
Yeah. Is that where we set the benchmark? Like you want to be so important that they rearrange the NFL schedule for you? But no.
Oh man, I can't wait for them to break up.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of stuff about like what the breakup song be, and like there's a whole bunch of like football references and like yeah.
Oh, the best of the AI generated ones where they're like, "Oh, yeah, give me a song about Taylor Swift breaking up with Travis," and it's amazing. Oh,
yeah, it's AI has got some real challenges ahead of it, but the meme content and the jokes is definitely not a problem. Like it's good for it, so we're good there. If that's the indication of the singularity, I think we're all right.
Exactly. If only it stops right here, because
Yeah,
if
just
anything,
right here.
yeah, because we're about like 5 seconds away from Skynet, and then we're all done.
Yeah, if we haven't already, right? But yeah, it's a whole rabbit hole to go down. AI is with my day job, AI is a daily part of my thing to worry about. So it's scary and awesome at the same time. But it is funny either way. It is funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we talked about what was this generative AI and robot girlfriends were like the work topic
Oh,
last week, and it was professional content, like it was professional work, like it wasn't anything unprofessional, untoward kind of thing. It was straight up work stuff, and it's like,
wow.
who would have thought?
I mean, I'm starting to see ads for those, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, no comment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just at this point, we're gonna have fan bots walking around on Austin Powers going.
Oh, jeez. That's been coming back around. Awesome. I don't know why, but my wife and I were just talking about my son being my older son and my younger son being Doctor Evil and Mini Me this year, and then I said that okay, that makes me Awesome Powers. So like I'm good with that, and then we would make her Frau. Um, so it could be interesting. Might have to stick with that one, but
I like that. I might steal it actually.
well, hey, go for it. Might as well. Or yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I don't know why it seems to be coming back.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do we get down that rabbit hole? But oh AI. So as long as they don't have like an AI. All right. So full disclosure, I did try out the Yahoo AI powered fantasy lineup thing they had last year. I lost horribly. It was a controlled test, right? So it was a non whatever league. It was non competitive. Yeah. It was like just straight testing, and I was like, okay, let me see what this does. And I came in dead last.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that fully nailed down yet because they don't have them, going after the internet every 10 seconds, and with good reason.
Yeah.
But eventually we'll get there. But
like as a commissioner, I would hate to have to try and find a way to implement a no AI rule in a league. I don't see how I could ever do that, and someone's going to do it and walk away with a bunch of championships, and then we're going to figure out how to control it, and then it's gonna go downhill from there. We're going to go all the way back to paper drafts, and no AI assisted. Turn your phones in before you enter the draft room. We're all going to sit here and eat and drink until we're done.
Man, so like outside of the eating and drinking, that sounds like my day job where you walk in a room where you can't have cell phones because you're in a cyber area.
Makes sense. I've worked in those environments before, so I get it. Yeah, you come back and it's like you re-engage with the world after your shift, and it's like, oh, there is another world out there, and there's sunlight, and
exactly. They didn't put me in the basement this time.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's go ahead and shift gears here. We have what's called overtime, and it is 3 questions, completely random. We ask every team the same questions just to see how you play with the answers. No preparation. You have no idea what I'm about to ask you. And there's no math. There's no math in case you were worried about it. So good, especially on an early Saturday morning. No math.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So question number 1, do you believe in aliens?
Yes and no. So aliens,
right.
It would be cool. That stuff in Miami kind of got me going a little bit, but if you want to go down and put our tinfoil hats on, but at the same time, no, because I believe in a higher power. So at the same time, I just am gonna just probably say no.
Okay,
it's a hard balancing act.
And you said the Miami thing. You're talking about the mall incident thing. Okay, I remember that one. Caused a big panic for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, fair enough. I appreciate the fair weatherness. That's going to do you well in fantasy football. So do yes and no, but maybe.
You got to keep an open mind. Because, I mean, I mean, hey, I'm not going to say there's a gray right in front of me, and I'm not going to say you're not real. Uh, I'm actually going to run. It's not even going to be a question. So
Yeah. There's plenty of movies that explains why this is a bad idea.
exactly, I do not need something popping out of my stomach.
Yeah, right. I always tell people, and I've probably mentioned a couple times in the interviews now, is like I always hope it's the Paul version and not the Independence Day version. It's the dude just chilling, hanging
Yeah,
out with the cops instead of the I'm gonna blow up the White House thing. Like that's
exactly.
let's hope
I'm
it's
good
more
with
of the
Paul.
other. Yeah, Paul's good.
Yeah, we could roll a doobie and just chill out. I'm good with that.
Real question is now that the Raiders have moved to Vegas, would he be a Raiders fan or would he? 'Cause, up in northern Nevada area, you've still got
I guess that
the
would be his home team
Niners.
because they won't let him out of the jail cell. So
Fair enough. Yeah, so we can just assume reasonably he's a Raiders fan, which makes me more of a Paul fan then. So we're good. Yeah,
yeah.
good, good. All right, question number 2, and this can be defined whatever way you want to. What is the strangest thing in your office, and what is the story behind it? And I'll filibuster a little bit with strange being awesome, coolest, whatever it needs to be. And then office could be just current setting or whatever works for you.
So my little office right now is a mixture of Penn State gear, Philly gear, and New York Yankee gear and Giants gear. So the coolest thing is yes, it's a weird combo. Wife cheered for Penn State for 4 years, so that's the background in Penn State.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Also Penn State football, but
I actually just gave a talk at Penn State back last year, so yeah,
that's
semi
cool.
semi Penn State fan. I grew up in Illinois, so college sports were not really a thing.
Mm,
And then I moved around for the military, and so I've never really declared a loyalty. Although I do live up in Raleigh, and I'm trying to get my master's out of NC State, so like
oh
there's
wow,
somewhat loyalty there, but not in a traditional college kind of sense. But
yeah.
yeah, Penn State's good people. They were nice.
Yeah, I love the school. Love going up there for football games. But anyway, I think the coolest thing is I can't grab it right now, but I have this awesome little Joe Paterno like weird little doll thing that isn't in the background, and it came from my wife's cousin that passed a couple years ago, and it is just the coolest little thing. And he's got a couple little memorabilia we got over here with like even a giant flask that says Penn State and the thing's like the size of my 15-inch MacBook Pro, and, and it's really cool.
Very
So
cool. It's always cool when you have those memorabilia things, and I'm very sorry to hear about the loss. That's never easy. But yeah, we always have to keep moving, right? Onward and upward. So yeah,
amen to that.
but yeah, it's a cool, interesting item. We've had some very strange things come across on the show, and I think that is a nice average memorabilia item that we can settle on. There's been some weird things, stolen goods, Halloween decorations have shown up. There's
Oh
some
my,
there's some weird things, but they're always interesting to like get the story behind it. So it's a cool story with yours, and yeah, we'll move on to question number 3. So last question, and again, this can be as sentimental as you want or as comical as you want. We've had a wide range of answers on the show, but what so you have the entire world's attention for the next 30 seconds. What would be your message to the entire world if they have to listen?
hmm, that's a good one. So I guess I would say be good to others and treat people how you want to be treated. And if you're a father or wife or anything or a parent, treat treat that person how you'd want your child to be treated, and the world would be such a better place. So that is my message for the next 30 seconds.
It's a great message, and it's one that I try and teach my kids. And I'm assuming, given the
Hmm.
impression you seem to be raising your children very well, and if you're using the golden rule there, so yeah, I think a lot of people are saying similar things this year in the league, and it's a crazy world out there, and if we just treat each other with kindness and respect, and expect kindness and respect in return, I think the world would be a heck of a lot better place. So I think it's a great message and a great way to end the interview. But Matt, it's been a pleasure. I wish you the absolute best in the league, sir. Where can
Thank you.
people find you? Where can people follow along and maybe check in on the chaos that is fantasy baseball?
Yeah. So if you want a little bit more of a fantasy itch, check us out at Locked On Fantasy Baseball. We're on, Apple, Spotify, wherever you may listen to a podcast. YouTube, check us out on there. And you can find me at Matthew dash Ahne, Ahne, because I have the weirdest last name on the planet. And you can find me on X, Twitter, whatever we call it these days. I'm confused. Thank you, Elon. And
Twix.
yeah, that one, Twix. I like it. But yeah, we're everywhere, and trust me, we give great content. We're 30 minutes in and out, and if you want a little bit more than just a podcast too, you can check us out on Subtext. We have you can become a member of the Diamond Club, where you can actually ask us questions on trades, things like that. We give you a little bit more intel on the show behind the scenes on like rankings and things like that, and prospect notifications. So when a prospect does get the call, you're having the leg up on the team versus waiting around for like Bleacher Report to send something around to everybody.
Very cool. I'll have to check that out, and maybe I'll dive into the fantasy baseball world come next season. I'll have to hit you guys up for some tips.
Oh yeah,
because I don't even know. Like there's arguments of like who's the top draft pick in the NFL. Like you got number one pick. It's gonna be most people say like Christian McCaffrey or something like that, right? And then I don't even know who it would be right now for the baseball side of things. So it's probably a good place to start.
It would be. I'll give you a pro tip. It's probably gonna be Bobby Witt Jr.
Okay. All right.
Big question mark going on right there.
I'm gonna go research because I watch baseball and I'm a big Cubs fan, but I've not had the time in so long to pay attention to that level, and I'm gonna go research who that is, and I'm gonna come back to this and be like, hey, he set me up here, like he doesn't even play anymore or something like that, or he's like a coach or something, I don't know, but. But
it's not like I threw out like Derek Jeter.
Yeah, see, I get that one. So the last time I really paid attention was 2016. I'm a Cubs fan, so I was deployed. Cubs won the World Series. Life was decent at that point. The Cubs winning was a huge, huge thing. And then I was like, okay, that's they didn't make it the next year, and I was like, all right, we're 108 years. Here we go again. So I was like, I got time to catch up. So. Yeah, but I'll check it out for sure.
Thank you for your service, by the way. I didn't have an opportunity to say that.
Of course, yeah, happy to do it. I'm not joking, but I was talking with someone else in one of the other interviews. Is there are several vets in the league, and I think most of them would share my sentiment that there's not really a right response to that. So when someone says thank you for your service, like you can't say you're welcome because like that sounds rude. And so the way I usually tell people is like, I'm, thank you for your thank you, and then I was happy to do it, but I'm glad it's over. And that seems to be the best way through it. But I when I joined the military, people just say, "Oh, thank you for your service." You say thank you, and you're like, that sounds really rude. It's like I don't know, but yeah, no, it's like I said, I did 10 years. Happy to do it. I am glad it's over. My family is better having done it, and we are in a better place now that it's over as well. So, life is good. Put my time in, and now I get to do some fantasy football on YouTube. So that's always good, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Matt. Well, we will see you in the league and hopefully in the playoffs, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.